Hello there, or rather na nuagambi, which is actually hello in the Guna language. Because today we are going to be traveling to the San Blas Islands off of the coast of Panama to learn about one of the most impressive quilting techniques that I have ever seen. The Guna people, formerly called Kuna, live on 365 tiny islands off the coast of Panama. And they make the most beautiful textiles known as molas. Now, the Guna society is actually a matriarchal society where the women's mola making actually brings economic power to their families. How impressive and interesting is that? So the molas were used as wall hangings. They were traditionally used and still are as blouse fronts and backs. And each mola tells its own story because every single mola is unique, because copying someone else's mola is very taboo in their culture. Girls actually start learning mola making at the age of 5 or 6, but it takes decades to master. The quality of a woman's mola is actually a status symbol in their community. Now, molas are a reverse applique technique, but it's even more intricate and complex than that. So they use reverse applique, which I'll be showing you a little bit of what that means, but they also use some inlaid and onlay applique techniques in addition to hand embroidery techniques. It's all done by hand, and it has this really strong striking effect, and the craftsmanship required to create the intricate designs is just jaw-dropping. So the Guna people believe that everything has a spirit, and molas must too. So some patterns were considered sacred, some were said to protect against evil, and some designs can only be made by specific families. Molas are never thrown away. The worn out ones become underlayers for new ones because every mola contains lots of different layers. So let's talk about the designs, the themes in this incredible technique, and see how you might be able to get ideas and inspiration for your own work. So this mola and 3 others that I have were brought back to the States by my great-grandfather, who was a cottonseed oil engineer and traveled all over the world and traveled to Panama. So I grew up looking at these incredible molas, even though I didn't know at the time what they were or how impressive the craftsmanship is. So let's look at the common design features that you might see in one of these molas. So notice how the entire space is filled in. The whole space, there's very little negative space typically in molas. You have your primary designs, and then you have kind of these filler, often these spiral shaped designs that then fill out the overall look. Here's another one with this kind of snake design here in the center, and then we have these little kind of V-shaped designs all around the outside. So traditional motifs are natural ones, nature. So you would see a lot of local mythology, you would see their mythology, you'd see a lot of local wildlife, daily life shots, or even dreams. So the motif is going to vary broadly between different makers. So notice again, it's filling out the whole design. We have these large birds here and then all of the different filler designs. So we have reverse applique. We have some onlaid applique on top, and then notice it's reverse applique with all of these different colors. It's just so impressive. Now, the traditional colors were black, red, orange, and that was pretty much it. But then the Guna people were resourceful, and they noticed that the tourists actually really liked the multicolored. They liked more colorful designs more. And so they were accommodating, no problem. If they want some more colors, we can add in some more colors. And so the molas that you'll see now typically will have more colors. Now we can now you may not have any desire to do this level of intricacy in your work, but let's see how we can take a little bit of inspiration. And it's always really powerful to, rather than replicating traditional and native makers' work, we can rather draw inspiration. So maybe we're taking inspiration with the color palettes, this strong contrast between the black and then these bright colors could be one. The idea of filling in your space or integrating your motifs that are inspired by the nature around you or your dreams or daily life. So here are a few different ideas. So to begin with, as I've mentioned, the technique is a reverse applique technique, which means that you have multiple layers. So it might be 2 layers, it might be even more layers layered on top of one another. Okay, and then rather than with regular applique, you cut out a shape, you stitch it on top, right? Here though, we are cutting away these different layers, cutting them away to reveal the fabric underneath. And so since I have multiple layers here, I can create multiple different designs. So there's a lot of different ways that you could approach the actual appliquing, whether you want to do it by machine or you want to do it by hand. There's a lot of different methods, and I actually share a full workshop on different methods that you can do to create your own modern version inspired by these fabulous molas. So let's look at a few other ideas. So here's just a 2-color mola. Very simple, big leaf shape with then these filler shapes around it, and then edges turned under, and then I actually stitched it down by machine. This one was done with machine, but a little bit differently, and it's actually 3 different colors, but the same design. But notice I took the inspiration of filling in the whole space, using multiple colors, some bright, vibrant colors, and then using nature as the motif. Here's a very different approach where I'm using black and a bright color, and then still having that reverse applique method with the fuchsia being behind. And then this lovely moth design, again, another reverse applique technique. It's very different than the traditional molas, but we can take inspiration from some of the methods that they are using. And even here's a little simple placemat that I use just to kind of experiment and explore the technique. I have a lot of these little tiny projects around my studio where I'm just playing around with different ways of making things to see if I like it without, wasting a lot of time or materials. Now, anytime we're drawing inspiration from other cultures and from native makers, we want to be extremely respectful of those native makers, those indigenous makers. And so rather than, since I am not of the Guna community, I'm not going to call my projects molas, because they're not molas, but they are inspired by molas. So I can say I'm creating a project that's inspired by the incredible Molas. And taking a look at what other people are making, and rather than just simply replicating it, again, see where you can draw some inspiration from what really draws your eye, be it the colors, be it the techniques, be it the designs, like filling in the entire space, or having the primary motifs with filler ideas. There's a lot of different ways that we can draw in inspiration without replicating and while still respecting the original source. So Guna women have kept this tradition alive for generation. They've been adapting along the way while still keeping its incredible essence. I think there's something really powerful that we can draw from that. So I'll see you next time. Happy making, and bye for now.